Hello, friends. How are you doing? Has been a while, I know. I was waiting for a perfect sunny day to tell another story. Um, and I choose this place in Stafford for a particular reason. I've been, since I visited Stafford for the first time in 1988, I came to the Stafford Castle. And since then, I took several different routes or paths to Stafford Castle. And only this week, I was introduced to this place. And I thought it was absolutely amazing because so many times I tried to find a perfect place to look at Stafford, to see the sunset, and was very close to me all those years. And that's with stories as well. Then that situation remind me one story that I chose in one of the first workshops that I took part. And that particular workshop was led by a very important academic person in Brazil, and she was a master in drama, in PhD, etc. And I took part in, as all storytelling workshops, you pick one story from a book or from something and you work on that story during the workshop, and the idea was to perform the story at the end for a public audience. And I'm very intuitive. I don't know, intuitive is the word. Anyway, I fell in love with a very simple story, and I started to work on it. And when we had our first rehearsal, and then I was able to listen to the stories of each one of the people who were working with me, they pick Greek mythology, King Arthur, or some classic Brazilian classic authors, and I felt very, very insecure about it. But I had no time anymore to change my story. So I told that story. And the thing is that even today, I don't know how long ago, 25 years ago or more, when some of the friends or some of the people that did the workshop with me at that time, when coincidentally we connect, when we speak, they still remember the story that I told. So sometimes it's like this place in Stafford. It's simple, it's close, and our tendency is to complicate and to take different routes and to arrive at the same place. Anyway, so I'm going to try to tell you that story. In this story, it's about a tiny little mouse. His name was Mini Spoletta, and he lived with his family in the countryside, close to a farm, not far away from some bushes and trees, in a hole in the middle of the ground. Inside, in his house, there was lots of rooms because the family was big, large. And Mini Spoletta, he was the dreamer in the family. Oh, he was all up to adventures. And what he really, really liked was to escape sometimes and to visit the little town. One night when all the other mice was sleeping, Mini Spoletta left the hole and he ran through the fields and ran through the trees, got to the road and arrived in the little town. Oh, the little town. The little town smelled delicious. Mini Spoleta, he found a small gap underneath a door in a house. And he squeezed himself and found himself in the middle of the kitchen. The people in the kitchen, they were very busy. They were preparing food for a very special guest. All of them were moving from one side to another. Oh, the smell in the kitchen. The smell was gorgeous. But suddenly, the owner of the house, she shouted, "Oh no! A mouse!" And the other one came with a broom. Oh, Mini Spoleta, he ran and ran and ran, and he found a place under the oven. And there he stayed, very quiet, his heart beating inside his little chest. Well, the people in the kitchen, they thought that he had escaped, and they carry on with the dinner. When all of them left the kitchen, well, first, Mini Spoleta, he saw when they started to prepare his favorite dish. His favorite dish was icaco sweet, icaco dessert. Icaco, it's a small fruit from South America. Looks like a plum. And they were cooking the icaco in a big pan. And Mini Spoleta, he waited. He waited until the icaco was cold. Then he saw the owner of the house put all the icaco sweet inside a bowl on the kitchen table. And he was very patient. He was patient. He wait. When the last person left the kitchen, he ran and he jumped on the table and then splashed inside the bowl. Oh, was delicious. Was warm. Oh, Mini Spoleta, he swam and swam inside the bowl full of icacos. He tried a little bit of one of them. But what he really, really liked was the juice. And he drank and drank, and now all the warmth and the sweet and the sugar made him felt very, very, very lazy. And he fell asleep inside the bowl. And very tiny that he was, well, he looked like another icaco in the middle of the sauce. Suddenly, Mini Spoleta, he woke up with a big bang. The owner of the house, she was picking up the bowl and she was taking them to the dining table. There, everybody, the guests, the special guests, the family, they were there waiting. And there was a little boy, a tiny little boy, his son, who was allowed to join the group up. But first, the mother asked him to be very well behaved, not talking while the adults were talking, trying to eat everything on the table without complaining. And the little boy agreed. And there he was, doing his best. Suddenly got the moment for the pudding, the dessert. And the mother started to serve the icaco sweet with 2 icacos to each one. And she served the first one, she served the other guest, and finally there was just 1 icaco left, the last one. And she served her son, the little boy. Well, the little boy, he put the spoon and he looked to the plate. He looked to his mother and said, "Mom, Mom, Mom." The mother, "Yes, darling. Does icaco have a tail?" No, my darling, said the mother. They don't have a tail. Icacos don't have tails. Please eat your food and stop playing with it. The boy looked at the plate and tried again. Suddenly, Mom, does Icaco have two little eyes? No, my darling. Oh, boys. No, my darling. Of course, Icaco. They don't have one or two eyes. Please eat your food. Finally, the boy said again, Mom, does Icaco have two little ears? No, darling, no. Please stop interrupting me and eat your dessert. Well, the boy placed his spoon, placed the icaco in the spoon, and approached the icaco to his mouth. And suddenly, the icaco, who was actually Mini Spoleta, jumped from the spoon to the table, to the floor, and ran like a comet. Well, the mother, she started to scream like crazy and she fainted. All the guests jumped on their tables and the boy, he laughed so much. Mini Spoleta, he ran from the dining table, from the kitchen. He left through the small gap underneath the door and ran through the roads of the town. Finally, he arrived at the farm and arrived close to the trees and the bushes, and he found the little hole which was the door of his house, and boom, and got into. So tired. All the others, when they saw him, said, "Where have you been? Where have you been?" And Mini Spoleta started to tell about his incredible adventure, while all his family started to lick him clean. And was delicious. And they licked him, and they licked him, and they licked him, while Mini Spoleta told about his incredible day. At the end, his grandmother, cleaning her tiny mouth, said, I love stories like that. It has such a sweet end. Anyway, that was the story of the Mini Spoleta and the icaco dessert. It's a silly story, but a story that I really love. Bye, thank you.